if you have a question, there's a raise your hand button. If you raise your hand, I'll see that and I will get to you. I'll wait in between slides or until Bob asks if there's any questions. He can also see that. So if he happens to notice it, he'll chime in on his own. There's also a question and answer section. If you click on that button, it'll bring up a screen and I have question and answers up. So if you ask questions, if it's something simple, I can go ahead and answer that real quick. If not, I'll chime in when it's time for questions and let Bob know, and then he'll be able to answer that straight out loud for you. All right, Bob, it's on you.
Okay, also on the administrative side, chime in, raise your hand whenever you like throughout the presentation for a question. Any question you like, please ask. Okay, you want to put the flag up? Please rise. Bruce, thank you. Colors of our country in place, hand salute. Toot, uncover, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us all here tonight. We thank you for the good things that you give us. We thank you for this great country. We thank you for our men and women in uniform that do so much for us. Please bring them all home safe. In your precious name we pray, amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Bruce, we're going to go ahead with the presentation. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. I know it's a work day. I know many of you worked today, so thank you very much for being here. This is, I've been asked, my first job in the Legion when I joined the Legion was as an adjutant. So this is the adjutant class. Many of you wanted an adjutant, and maybe many of you became an adjutant because you might have brought a computer to a meeting and somebody saw you and asked you to do it. Again, if you have a question as we go through this, please just jump in. Next slide. Course objectives. What are we going to try to get out of this class? What becoming a post adjutant is, and how challenging can it be? And it's a very challenging position. All posts are different. And we're going to discuss that and how different they are in a few minutes. We're going to focus on these different areas listed on this slide. And we certainly really can't get into all of them in depth. But we're going to cover those things that you should know, and we're going to touch on them. And we're going to try to learn some of that to make your term as adjutant a success. Next slide, please. This course is designed to help you as post adjutant to establish a foundation for an effective and a successful term. A successful post adjutant is focused on being a leader, not a caretaker of the post. Leaders look to the future and work on continuous improvement of the post operations and program management and take pride in moving the post forward. Caretakers merely try to survive from one year to the next. The adjutant is a key to the post success. And we really, really need to focus on the adjutant's job and to make sure that that adjutant knows his job and knows what he's doing and helps move that post forward. Bruce, next slide, please. Why are we here? We will discuss some of the tools, publications that can be very helpful to you, the adjutant, and in that process, make you look knowledgeable and confident in front of your membership. And an important goal is to motivate and develop leaders to help take our organization into the future. As the Post Adjutant, do any of you have any questions now before we move forward? Okay. That's okay. No questions, no hands raised. So I don't see any more hands now, Bruce, when I have you on the screen. So okay. No hands raised?
No hands. We're good.
Okay. So that adjutant, he's a key to getting some of these people and some of those leaders in the post developed and moved forward. You can go to the next slide. So those successful post adjutants, they actually move forward, and they move forward on, and they become good district adjutants and department positions. And that's a normal progression as we move through the chairs. And, you know, we say move through the chairs, you know, and we have in the Legion, you gain knowledge as you move through various positions in the Legion. And one of the most important positions is an adjutant, because they touch on so many of the functions of the Legion. Next slide, please. Getting started. Believe it or not, these are some interesting facts that we hit on, and that are, I thought, pretty amazing. There used to be many, many more posts, but was created with the local post as its foundation. And we hear that all the time. That's where everything in the Legion started, was at the local post. Over the years, the posts have developed many of their own traditions and programs in the community. And that's what's truly important about the Legion, is that what we do in our communities. It's truly a fact, and I've visited many, many departments and many posts, and there really are no two posts alike. We have over 12,600, almost, and it's changing daily, but it is a bit shy of 13,000 posts in the American Legion. And they range in size. Obviously, Mike Seidel knows it's the largest one is 7,000 virtually members, and down to about 20 members. Over half of them have their own facilities. Others lease or borrow space. Some are wealthy. Others have very few assets. Over the years, posts were formed in companies, police units. We have an FBI post. We have firehouse posts, women's posts, universities posts, and we have union hall posts. They have their own histories, traditions, personalities. Truly, one size does not fit all when you talk about posts. And I think one of the interesting things is that what does make your post unique? How does your post differ from other posts? And then how can you capitalize on that? Next slide. Interesting question. The ideal adjutant. And you can ask yourself, what are some of the traits, the attributes, the skill sets of the ideal adjutant? Think about it. What should and actually it's in the post adjutant manual, and he skipped a slide. But you know, there it is. It's honesty and willingness. Go ahead. That's all right. Go back to it. It's okay, Bruce. Honesty and willingness. And that's what's in the post adjutant's manual. it's an interesting job because that's the guy at the, or girl at the post that needs to keep the post on the proper track, that needs to keep the commander from being a dictator, from following the Constitution and bylaws, from following the rules, from keeping the minutes, from keeping the post on the correct path. The next slide, please.
Hey, Bob, just a quick admin note. We have a comment. Tony from Post 62 just wants to remind us she's a female adjutant.
I just said he or she.
Yeah, it would. I think she heard guy one time, and she might have commented.
I apologize. I apologize. I stand corrected. I apologize. There's lots of tools we have for post adjutants, and there are many. There are a number of publications, and the publications are rewritten at national by Internal Affairs. And there is a new post adjutants manual. There's a new officer's guide and new manual of ceremonies. You can go to legion.org, and I do have a page at the end, and anybody that wants to email me later, I will give Bruce a resource page that he can put up, legion.org/publications. But we do have a post adjutants manual, an officer's guide, a manual of ceremonies, and there is a public relations toolkit. There are also district and county commanders guides, and there's a 4 pillars book. So there are lots of tools that we can avail ourselves of as adjutants that we can use to help us do our job better. Next slide, please. Now this is, I guess, the meat of the job. You know, what is an adjutant, and what can or what should that adjutant do? The adjutant is the same position in a post as the corporate secretary of a corporation, a first sergeant in the military. He is or she is the person that keeps that company straight or that unit straight. The adjutant hopefully will have some continuity and will help those officers along from year to year. So usually you would not want to change an adjutant annually. You'd want to have some continuity. All the post activities will actually revolve around the adjutant, and there'll be some continuity on how to have those activities and run those activities. Really good adjutants stay on for a few years, and it helps provide those continuity so those officers that change can look to that adjutant on how to handle and hold those ceremonies and how to run those ceremonies. The commander actually navigates that ship, but the adjutants, the engineer, or the person who helps with the ship's machinery and keeps that vessel on that even keel. The members of the post, they go to that adjutant. Many posts are sometimes confused about the position of a commander, and some commanders are confused about the position that the commander holds. The ultimate authority, the ultimate ruler of a post is the members. And a commander is not a dictator. The commander leads the meetings, the commander chairs the meetings. The ultimate authority in a post are the members. And the adjutant is that conduit to the members. He's the person that all the members can go to process papers, to take care of the correspondence. Next slide, please. all the past records of the meetings, the Constitution and bylaws, the minutes, the reports of officers and committees, and the documents that are retained electronically and on paper are all contained and retained by this adjutant. These records, these things that are retained by this adjutant, give a good look into who the post is, what they are, what they've done, what they're doing, and where they're going. There's a lot of these records that can tell us the story of this post. And it's really interesting as you look back and you look back 20 years or 30 years on a post records and see what they've done. And then you can really see how important it is records are kept. Next slide, please. Do we have any questions in the audience? Any comments?
Nothing reflected. Someone did ask a question about if we could send out the PowerPoint. I said we could do that to the list of attendees.
Absolutely. Yes. The PowerPoint will be sent out. And as we get towards the end, we will have some, we'll have a resource page. And I'll send those out too.
Sorry.
Yes.
I'll click the button here.
That's okay.
Ted Beaver's
Yeah, Ted. Go ahead, Ted.
Muted.
Unmute. Ted?
I'll get
He has
used
to
to it in a
unmute,
couple
right?
years.
No problem.
You can hear me now, right? Okay, we
Yes,
talked
sir.
about records. Is there any guidelines on document retention? How long we have to keep certain documents? You mentioned going back 30 years and all that. It becomes a little cumbersome, and most businesses, most corporations have written rules on this for X number of years, and then you could destroy it, discard it, shred it,
Right.
whatever. Does the Legion have any guidelines on you know how long? Because file space on some of the paper documents going back years, and I found it sometimes it's interesting reading, but it's if I was looking for something, it would probably take me forever to find it.
Sure.
I was just curious.
Sure. That's a great question, Ted. No, many organizations do have a document retention guideline. We do not. However, we're fortunate that now, being in the digital age, we have access to all sorts of scanners. And if you look at, there are some stuff that you would see that you would think would have some historical significance. And you might want to talk to your historian or some people that would say, we might want to save this. And there is some things that you might want to store. Digital storage space is so cheap now that, minutes, things like that would be so easily scanned in and saved digitally on a secure platform that, I would recommend storing those things digitally, and you could do that very, very easily. But I've seen, a lot of times people will store these paper documents from 10 and 20 and 30 years ago and just throw it in a corner, and before you know it, it's bug-ridden, bug-eaten, and it's not worth the paper it's written on. So I think it would be wise to look at the documents that you might have stored at the post, find those of significance, historical significance, and maybe scan them in or preserve those if they have a significance, and then scan in the others and get rid of them. So that's my take, but no, we don't have a specified retention policy. Any other questions?
Nope, we're clear.
We're clear. Okay. Reports. We got lots of reports, and I'm not going to go over any of the dates because you can check with department headquarters. But as the corporate secretary or as the first sergeant, as the person responsible, you're the one that looks over everything. So I put post charters because you're the name on your sunbiz, the name on your liquor license, the name on your post charter. They should all match. And if not, check with your department headquarters and get them corrected. And EIN, I put that down because your EIN, you should have an EIN number. You should be incorporated. You should be incorporated as a 501c19. And John Dollinger will get into that a little bit more, and I guess in the finance class, which is happening on 22nd, excuse me, next week. You should file a tax return with the federal government annually. Don't file it 3 consecutive years and you're going to lose your tax exempt status, which is going to cause you all sorts of trouble. Consolidated post reports, we want to file those annually. You're going to file a post data report, post certification of officers. The adjutant also does a number of different types of membership reports. And then there's a Project Stay Active. That also has to do with membership. Next slide. Let me stay on the consolidated post reports. It's important that we continue to tell people what we do. And it's very important that a post tracks what they do and that the adjutant keeps track of all the activities that the various units in the post do, and tells people what we do. Because at some point, the department wants to tell National what we do, because National wants to tell Congress what we do. We have a congressional charter, and that congressional charter requires us annually to tell Congress what we're doing and how many people we're helping. And if you can read that report, it's published every year. And it's quite amazing how many hours and how many dollars the American Legion as a whole contributes to our communities and our states and our nation. And that all comes from the post reports. It's kind of sad that some years that report goes to 50 or 60% of the post's reporting nationally. So that's a very important report. Next slide, Bruce.
We have Gary on. Gary has a question.
Yes, Gary.
Unmute, please.
Gary?
A, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, thank you. Actually, 2 questions now. First thing, you brought up that annual Legion report to Congress. Can we get
Yes, sir.
Can we get a copy of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool report if you've never read it. It's really interesting.
It would be awesome because we're out trying to drum up some, contributions from business and all that too.
Right.
So that's good. You also mentioned something on the EINs and
Yes.
what have you. 501c19.
Yes.
Okay. Now we go to Amazon and try to get our own deal so that we can get recognition like the auxiliary does and like others do. And Amazon does not recognize a 501c19, only a C3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do we get around that? What can we show to them?
Well, I can show you in the IRS.
I understand that, but they
Okay.
use clearinghouses.
Oh, I
Okay,
understand. I
okay.
understand. And I think what we need to do is we can lobby Amazon
There you
because what I actually was the one that I think you're talking about Amazon Smile, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken. Okay.
exactly.
Okay. What I was actually the one that went to national 4 years ago and said that I think you guys are a little bit misguided because you're not on Amazon Smile. And they weren't. And we got started on Amazon Smile. Fortunately, they had a 501c3, and they got on it very quickly. We did check, and yes, you're right, they want 501c3s. Most of the time, the reason is, and you'll find it, a lot of corporations do not want to donate to a 501c19, not because of anything except that it's a very odd category. There aren't many 501c19s. There's a lot of 501c3s.
And they use the clearinghouses. So the clearinghouses need to be the place to go to.
Right. And, you know, we can pull out the IRS tax code. It is no different for a deduction than a 501c3. It's just that there are just so few of them, they don't bother.
Yep.
So that's what we need to do. We need to lobby them.
Okay, thank you. Please,
yeah.
You know, let's get that out to national somehow. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and email me, and I will, my email's there, or you could just email judgeadvocate@floridalegion.org, and I'll get you the CPR report.
Okay,
for now.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Yes, sir.
God bless.
James Brennan. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to mention that what we did up here with Post 84 is 6 years ago, we formed the 501c3 to get around all that. And we called ourselves Friends of Post 84, so we're directly associated with the Post. And I have found that all the clearinghouses and everything else will accept that. And also the big box stores will donate in-kind type donations to us with that in mind. So you already mentioned that, but I want to let you know it really does work to have that 501c3.
Yeah, the big box stores, you'll probably, Walmarts and the big box stores will donate to a C19. It's the clearinghouses that are the problem. I've had a good experience with the big box stores. It's the clearinghouses that are definitely a roadblock. But that's good. That's good. You got to be careful though. Using American Legion or trying to change your post from a C19 to a C3 won't work. I mean, that will get you in trouble. But it sounds like the way you did it probably worked. So, okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Yeah, John Schweiner is on.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Schweiner.
I have a question concerning
Yes, sir.
Membership data form.
Yes, sir.
There's basically one way that we can remove a member from our roster, and it's either death or basically death. We've been running into situations where some members are falling behind in their membership dues, and we've been actively calling them, some of which their phone numbers are no longer in use, but it's beginning to grow that, for example, I called a member to renew his 2021 dues.
Mm-hmm.
It took me several calls and I finally got to him, and he said, listen, I'm 90 years old. He says, I'm not going to renew anymore. And I talked to him for about a half hour or so. We talked about his time in service and everything like that. You just don't want to hang up on a member in that situation. It turns out that some of these people are in assisted living homes, and they're he did say that this would be his final year. He would pay the 2021 dues, but a week later, you don't see that happen. It would be unlikely that he even remembered the phone call. Is there some way that we could take a look at taking some of these issues into consideration as an alternative for removing membership?
Bruce?
Yes.
Yeah, what do you say?
I was responding. I apologize. I was responding. Didn't hear the full question.
Older members on a membership data on a membership register, where they're old, and how do you get them off of a membership roster if they're not going to renew?
They drop off automatically.
Huh?
Yeah, over time they're going to drop off automatically, but they're not. And the next year they're not going to be off of it. That's a national database thing. That's not anything that the department can work on.
Mr. Schweiner, did you hear Bruce's answer?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Apparently, yeah. Go ahead, sir.
One other section is the eligibility section that pertains to what war they were in, and according to the Legion Act of 2019, do you have to be a member of any one of those wars or other in particular? In other words, is that something that could be eliminated and just say, you were from a particular year or some other objective? Or do we have a space in there? Maybe I overlooked it that says under Legion Act 2019 that they fall under that category.
Right, under the Legion Act, the time has changed considerably. There are check blocks now. Bruce, you have the new membership forms, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so there are new categories there on the new membership forms because of the Legion Act.
Yeah, it refers to other.
Other. There is another category.
But we do want to track. We do want to know what war era they served in, because that data is tracked. And we track the department. I know National tracks it. We want to know what percentage of our membership are Vietnam veterans, how many World War IIs are left, how many Koreas are left. So that information is still important to us. In the bean counters. I understand that for your purposes, everyone's disqualified, but there is some significance to finding out what war era they served in or during.
That's a good point. I understand that.
Okay.
I apologize, John. Do you have time for one more on this slide, or?
Yeah, go ahead. No problem.
Gordon Elton, you're in. If you just unmute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bob, you made a comment that I believe you said posts are supposed to be incorporated. I thought our department
You're right.
bylaws require us to be incorporated.
Yes, they have to be incorporated. That's correct.
Yeah.
Must be
And my understanding is that there's some process at the department level where they're supposed to verify or validate that incorporation and their current status.
Yes.
That doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, you
happen routinely.
Well, you will get, once you're incorporated, you'll get an EIN number.
Right, but once you fail to file, it has taken the department years and years to catch up with that.
Yes, we have recently, you've been getting well, that's right. We recently did an audit on all of the Post's EIN numbers. Right. And so those that have not filed their tax returns for 3 years and have lost their nonprofit status, which is a real serious problem. because technically you're receiving a donation and you're saying you're a nonprofit and you have an 11C liquor license as a nonprofit.
Well, you're assuming that one size fits all, and that's not the case. You shouldn't
No, I'm just
generalize
saying,
like that.
no, but I'm just saying if that post that did not file their 990, that's a problem, and they need to. So yes, you have to file the 990s, and we're auditing them and making sure everybody has their
Well,
990s.
I'm going through that process right now, and it's taken the post or the department, 17 years to catch up with that or something, or 7 years or something extensive. So
Are you getting through it okay?
I don't know.
Well, give us a call if you need help, or give me a call if you're running into something, and maybe we can help you.
Well, we can't even get our bylaws reviewed by the department, so I haven't been very happy with.
Well, the bylaws is a separate issue. We can talk to you about that.
Yeah.
You'll be getting a letter on those, and that's a complicated issue, and I can explain it to you, where you'll be getting a letter and bylaws will be done within 30 days, and I'll explain that to you. Give me a call,
Yeah.
and I'll be happy to talk to you about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Next question?
Yeah, I got two hands raised here.
No problem.
I'm sorry, my Elizabeth Wagner.
Yes, ma'am.
It says that I can promote her to panelist here. I'm sorry. She's got an older version, so I'm going to bring her into the panelist here for 1 second.
No problem. Miss Wagner?
Unmute, please.
Hey, Bob.
Hi, how are you, ma'am?
Good. Since I haven't been to classes since 2013, since we both were in Virginia, I'm answering the guy's question for removing a member.
I'm sorry.
Why does he
Elizabeth, we can't hear you. The sound is not very good. Can you type your question in the question and answers?
Got a lot of static. I couldn't hear her.
Yeah, I can't either.
Why does the guy not
Go ahead.
just supposed to pay the older members' dues?
Why does the Post not pay the older members' dues? Was the question?
I can't hear it.
I heard something about why does the Post not pay the older members' dues? Was that correct or no?
Oh, older members.
It was very garbled. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
Elizabeth, did you ask why the Post does not pay the older members' dues? I think her screen froze. Okay, Jim Brennan's on while we're waiting for that question.
Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
I'm still getting feedback from the other person. Okay. I'd like to suggest two things about older members. The Post 84 has adopted this policy.
Yes, sir.
If you're in assisted living, or if you're reaching that age where you're not fully capable of handling your own personal business, we will pay the dues for that member for the rest of the time that they are active or living. And sometimes I have looked into the possibilities of somebody who is 85, 90 years old applying for paid up for life membership and picking those up for their benefit and for their spouse's benefit and the family. That's just another alternative for keeping members in the Post and keeping your membership up. Did you understand?
Yes.
And that's an individual post. That's wonderful. It's an individual post decision. I think that's a wonderful thing you do. And if your post can afford to do that, that's great. I know a lot of posts that do that, and that's a wonderful thing to do.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes, we had to vote on each member when
Yes.
we did that, and it was unanimous every time. So, but since then, all three members have passed, so we aren't paying the membership anymore, and they've dropped off. And but it just helps. It makes the family and the spouse and the family and the kids and everything else feel like they still belong.
Right. That's wonderful. Thank you, Jim. That's a good idea. Bruce, can you type to Elizabeth? Can Elizabeth type her question to us?
I'm trying to get that. Meanwhile, you have Tony on there.
Hey, Tony.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I want to go back to the statement from the gentleman saying that he couldn't get his bylaws reviewed.
Yes.
We are presenting proposed bylaw changes on Saturday to our membership. Is there
Okay.
something I need to know?
Well, no, yes. Are your bylaws close to the template that is on the department website?
I have absolutely no idea.
So the problem is there is a template that is on the department website. Many posts have deviated drastically from that template. The Constitution and bylaws does not have to be that drastically deviated from that. If you want to deviate to the point of meeting times, dues, things of that nature, you can put those in standing rules.
Okay.
And those you can change much easier than a constitution and bylaws. But there's really no need to deviate on a constitution and bylaws level that much from the template. And that letter, of the submissions that we have, and this is what I was alluding to the gentleman earlier, about 10% of the submissions that we have are relatively close to the template. The others are drastically far away from it. So what we're trying to do is get those that are far away from it close to the template.
Okay.
And those will be approved quickly. And we're going to try to have all those turn around within 30 days.
Okay.
And anybody that you don't need to put your meeting times, your dues, and those kinds of things. Those can be in standing rules. And that was the comment about Constitution and bylaws.
Those are the things that we're trying to get away from.
Right.
Because those had been approved in the previous bylaws, and we're like, no, we don't want it that specific inside of the bylaws. So
Right. Put those in a standing rule.
yeah, those are the things we're trying to get away from. So
Good.
I will take a look at the template. I didn't even know one existed.
Yeah.
So,
Good. It's on the Constitution and bylaws.
okay. All right. I'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, that's it. Moving on.
Yes. Next slide, please. Communications toolkit. The post adjutant is involved, hopefully, in lots of communications. And, those communications are both by email, by snail mail, and by virtual meetings now. And anybody that really wants to or is having problems with any of it, I'm more than happy to talk to you offline, because any one of those three can get pretty in-depth. And you say, how can snail mail get in-depth? Well, it can. That snail mail, you can actually send snail mail by your computer and electronically much easier and much faster than you can by addressing an envelope. So I do have in resources, I'll give you a couple on the next page, or in a couple of pages, I'll give you a couple. But there are programs out there to help you send email. I think if you try, and any post that has over a couple of hundred members, if you try to send email to more than a few hundred members, or even more than 50 or 100 members maybe, you're going to learn very quickly that your email program is going to start throwing them away or bouncing them. So you need to use a program to do that. And there are a number of programs, and some of those programs, if you stay below 500, and one of them I think is a 2,000, is free. You don't even have to pay for it. And they'll send emails that are called HTML emails, which will let you put pictures in them and graphics in them, and will also let you to link to documents. So you can do your newsletters, and you can do other things. So you can do emails. Snail mail, there are programs that will let you send postcards, will let you send 8.5 and even larger printed documents, and will also let you send up to, I want to say off the top of my head, 96 pages of printed material to addressees. And all you have to do is upload the document, upload the list of addresses, and it'll let you mail them. Virtual meetings, there is a plethora of many different kinds of programs out there. And of course, back in March, I think we were limited to WebEx and Zoom. Now you have Microsoft Teams, you have Zoom, you have GoToMeeting. There's just many providers. Most of them will give you a limited use for free, and some of them will charge you $14 or $15 a month and will give you much more capabilities. So I can help anybody that would like, if you want to give me a call, to give you some more information on any of that. Next slide, Bruce, please. Meeting minutes. This is probably the most important thing that an adjutant will do. And I'm going to, meeting minutes. This is probably one of the most important responsibility of a post adjutant, and that's to keep an accurate record of the decisions that, and I'm going to use a word here, that the post members make. I didn't say that the commander makes. I said that the post members make. Now, the Post Adjutants Manual offers advice on meeting minutes. It says your meeting minutes should be typed, printed, and kept as a permanent record of activities. All reports of officers and committees should be included in the minutes of the meeting, to which they are submitted to assure they are made part of the permanent record. The decisions that are made at any called meeting, whether it is a regular, a special, or an executive meeting, are recorded in the minutes. The business conducted during the executive committee meeting, some people call it a board of directors meeting, are captured in their own meeting minutes. And then they're approved by the executive committee, and they're also kept by the adjutant. Post meetings require their own set of minutes, and they reflect the decisions of the general membership. Meeting minutes are not intended to be verbatim accounts of the meeting. They include accurately the topics of discussion and any decisions. So you don't have to say every word that was spoken. So basically, in these minutes that you're going to take, you must put down that a quorum has to be necessary to have a meeting. So you have to put down in the minutes that a quorum was there, because you have to have a quorum to conduct any business on behalf of the Post. So you need to report that in the minutes. The officers and membership present are necessary to reach this quorum, and you should have a roll call of the officers present. Motions. When you have a motion, you need to record the motion, the actual wording of the motion, and who made it. And then you need to document the exact words of that motion, and then who seconded it, and whether it was passed or defeated. The resolutions, and should the Post pass a resolution, you need to make certain that the resolution is recorded and properly and processed properly. During the meeting, the Post commander might do something. For example, he might assign or make a special committee and assign them to do some specific action, and that needs to be recorded. You might have some meeting guests that show up at your meeting. Well, they should be recorded in the minutes. You might record your meeting on a tape recorder. That should be announced, and you should tell everybody that you're audio or video recording that. You should also have a section for the good of the Legion, so that people can have some other things that are brought up outside of the agenda. You also should have your officers in committee reports. So these are things that are must-haves in your meeting minutes. And that will pretty much handle your meeting minutes. A very, very, very important part of the adjutant's job. And questions? I think I see, or don't I see, Bruce? Are there questions popping up or no? Bruce? Hello? I think Bruce.
Sorry about that.
No.
Lauren Lasser is in. She can speak to you, and there are a couple of questions that are coming in.
I know. There are. Yes.
We had a comment that said not all commanders are male.
I know there are female commanders and male commanders. There are female adjutants and male adjutants, and I apologize again. Shoot me.
When transcribing the minutes, should all parties in attendance get a copy of the same? Should parties' comments be recorded as bullet comments? Do special meetings and regular meetings minutes be kept separate?
Meeting minutes are kept for that meeting. So a special meeting gets their own minutes, a regular meeting gets its own minutes. And however you want to do those minutes, you just make them so it's clear the way that you're relaying the information that happened at that meeting. I've seen minutes taken so many different ways. As long as whoever picks that up can determine what happened at the meeting, that the quorum was there, who was there, and the motions and what happened at the meeting and what was passed. As long as it's clear and it's intelligible to the person reading those minutes, and the minutes should be available. Now, they're only draft minutes until they're approved at the next meeting. Does that make sense?
It does to me, yes.
Okay, everybody? Yeah. Any other questions about that?
The only one I don't know if you caught in there was when transcribing the minutes, should all parties in attendance get a copy of that? They just get the copy of the minutes if they show up at the next meeting for approval, correct?
Right. And those minutes, they're approved at their drafts, and when they go to the next meeting, the first order of business is they're going to, right after the meeting's opened, they're going to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. And then they're distributed once they're approved.
And then there's another question is, do we have to read the executive board's meeting minutes at the general membership meetings?
It's a good idea. It's a very good idea so that you know what your executive committee's meeting is doing. Depends on time. You might want to read the resolutions and what they decided. You know, what happens at an executive committee meeting, if they decide anything, if they made any motions, the executive board is in the order of things, the executive board is what you have elected to run things in between your general membership meetings. So they are your elected officials, and they're what's running that post for you in between your general membership meetings. But you are still the general membership, the ultimate authority. So you should want to know what your executive board's doing. You're still the ultimate authority, the general membership.
Okay. We already finished with Lauren, correct?
No.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lauren.
Yes. Sorry, I guess I'll have to introduce myself. I guess I'm the new kid on the block and the new adjutant at Post 24, Bradenton.
Yes, sir.
My question is concerning the minutes.
Yes.
We use a voice recorder and
Yes.
transcribe from that.
Yep.
Is there a necessity or any rule on keeping those cassettes?
On what, sir? I'm sorry.
On keeping the cassettes from the minutes, or just the print minutes all need to be kept?
No, you don't have to keep the voice. I mean, you've transcribed them, and then you approve those, right? You approve them. You don't have to.
My idea is to hang on to them until they're approved at the next meeting, and then we can reuse them or discard them.
Right. That's what
I've got two cabinets. I've got two cabinets full of cassette tapes.
Right. Do you tell everybody you're recording them?
Yes, they know. They're sitting right on the desk. Yes, they know at the general meeting and at the executive board meeting. They're big.
No, I wouldn't keep them once I transcribed them. It's up to you if you want to or not.
I guess you know, like you said, the new kid on the block, they're replacing a legend in our line, Warner Weil, who passed away on August 28th.
Oh, sorry.
It's a daunting task taking up from an adjutant who'd been there for 15 years, and I had absolutely no time to talk to him or get any instructions. So I'm finding a way, and I have great support. So thank you for answering that question. That's going to help me a lot.
Yes, sir. And if you need any help, don't hesitate to call us.
Right, sir. I understand that. I like it. I have a great support team at the Post. One thing I wanted to mention when we were talking about the communications, you were talking about emails and things. We have found, actually, our third vice commander, we kind of modified his duties a little bit to have him in communications and public relations. He has developed a task, and we are using what's called constant contacts.
Yep.
We have constant contact is open to all our members, auxiliary, all our outposts, and our post is open to the public. So anyone who wants information on the post can sign on to constant contacts. Built out of constant contacts every day. We've had absolutely nothing but rave reviews from our members on that. It really keeps them up to date. We've actually been able to replace the newsletter with it.
Yeah, Constant Contact's a wonderful program. That's your HTML email program. It's great. Another one called MailChimp, also an HTML email program. There's another one also. Those are the two big ones. They're both good. I think Constant Contact you can have a free tier. I think it's up to, I want to say 2,000 or 2,500 contacts. I'm not sure. You'd have to check with them.
We're not close to that, and I'm not real sure. I'm sure, I know we're paying fees, but I'm not sure how much they are, but it has proven very beneficial for us, and it has actually helped our lounge and restaurant business.
Right. And it's just wonderful. So they're great. They are very good programs. So thank you very much. And again, Lauren, if you need anything, don't hesitate to contact us. Okay.
I sure will, sir. Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Hey,
Yes.
Bob, you had 5 hands go up in the last couple of questions. Do you want to take those now, or you want to?
No problem.
Okay. All right. Amy Kehoe, unmute. I'm going to put everybody in the room, and you can just go ahead and unmute. And as we finish one off, we'll move on to the next one. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi. I just have a real simple question.
Yes.
I am in the process. We record, I transpond, and I electronically send out the minutes to the board members. Okay. Yep. And I do it like within the first week so that they have time to review prior to the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question to you is that if the minutes are approved, then can I send them out to whoever general membership may want them? I don't have to process them prior to approval.
Well, once you send them out within a week, but they're not approved until you all have another meeting and vote on them.
Right.
Yeah, then you can do whatever you want. Send them out to whoever you want.
And that's kind of because, ironically, we had our meeting last night, and I had a general membership person come up and say, "Hey, you have my email. I want a copy of the minutes." And I said, "You'll get them after they're approved." And he got a little bit upset. And I said, "No." I said, "I can't distribute these until they're approved."
Right. Yeah, because you don't know. I mean, you might not have the board members. They might say, "Amy, you didn't hear that right. You know, that's not what we approved." And then everybody votes on that, and
exactly.
they approve.
And that's kind of what I said to him. I said, "It's got to go to the committee first, then it'll come to you."
Right. You're absolutely correct, ma'am.
That's all I needed to hear. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Tony?
Me?
Tony
Yes.
Kirby.
Which Tony?
Tony Kirby.
All right. I have a couple questions. The first one is that you said the minutes didn't need to be verbatim. Then the next issue was when it says the action of the commanders. What do you mean by that? Could you explain that a little better?
In the minutes, like, for example, the commander might be setting up a committee to, a committee to organize the flag retirement ceremony. Those things would be put in the minutes, that committee that was set up. But the minutes don't have to be taken verbatim. But the motion needs to be written down verbatim. And the person who made the motion and seconded the motion.
Okay, I get that. I just didn't understand what you meant by actions of the commander, whether
things that he was doing.
What he was doing.
Right, like setting up a new committee, actions that he were taking that needed to be recorded, such as setting up a new committee. I don't know, asking that there be a dance, a formal ball in 3 weeks, and I want to set up a committee to do that. Those kinds of things. They're temporary. They're not permanent, but they're being established, and you would want to put those in the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, sir?
Yes, I think I understand what you're saying. There's really just what he puts out rather than what he does.
Right. Right. Oh, yeah. Right. What he puts out, what he wants to have happen. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Suzanne Harvey.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. My question is, I don't make a copy for all the officers. I read them at the minutes at the meeting, and then I have them in the book on my desk that's available to anybody at any time. Do I still need to make a copy and give it to all the board members?
Is that the policy that's been working at your post?
Yes, I've been there as the adjutant for 10 years, and
Right.
that's the way I've been doing it.
If that works, then that's fine. If your post knows that they're in the book and they're in the office and that's where they are and that works for you guys, you folks, and everybody agrees with it, then that's fine. And they
Okay.
know where they can go get their minutes because it's always in the book and it's always in the office, that's fine.
Yeah, and they can always request a copy if they want one.
Sure, that makes sense. Yes, ma'am.
Good point. Thank you. Mike Seidel.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I got a couple questions on minutes.
Yes, sir.
First of all, executive committee minutes can only be corrected by a member of the executive committee that was there, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I guess it would be hard to correct by somebody who wasn't there.
No, but they could be addressed and tried to be corrected by the general membership. When they're read in front of the membership, we read the latest executive board and the previous membership. Okay.
Wait. Now you're asking me, okay, you have an executive committee meeting, let's say on Monday.
Right.
And then you're gonna approve them at your next month's executive committee meeting.
The next month's.
Right, my executive committee meeting. And then you would, you'd read them to your membership. But then your membership would want to change them?
No, what I'm saying is, okay, we have a executive committee. I take minutes for that. They go in the book. Then we get to our general membership meeting. Okay. We read the prior month's general membership, ask for approval, and that can be from anybody on the floor.
Sure.
We read the minutes of the executive committee, and somebody has an addition or a deletion, they can only be changed by an executive member that was present.
Yeah, I would imagine, yes.
All right.
Because
and what we're doing, okay, what we're doing is we're actually getting approval that the minutes are done correctly. My next thought or my next question is, how does approval as published, how does that work?
Well, you had your meeting on Monday. You, as the adjutant, prepared the minutes. You had your meeting the next month. You distributed the minutes to your executive committee, and they approved them as you distributed to them. There was no changes. So those minutes were approved as distributed.
As published.
Well, as published, as distributed, however you wanted it.
I put it up on the bulletin board.
Right. They were approved. They were done. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the semantics of what you're calling it. Yes. Yep. But but your first question was interesting.
What it does, Bob, is saves the time. If they get approved as published, I don't have to read them.
Right. Or, most people would say approved as distributed, because what would happen is you would have your executive committee meeting on Monday. You're going to prepare your minutes. You're going to send them out in 2 weeks. In 4 weeks, you're going to have your meeting. And then at the start of your meeting, you're going to say to your executive committee, okay, guys, 2 weeks ago, I sent you the minutes. Did everybody read them? They're going to say yes. And you're going to say, okay, does everybody approve the minutes as I distribute them? And they said yes. And then you're going to say, okay, approved as distributed. I sent them to you as I emailed them to you, then yes. So you can call it published, emailed, distributed, whatever. Yes, I agree.
Well, Bob, the only thing I would say, and I'm not trying to correct or anything, but they're not published until they're approved. That's the point they're published. So technically saying approved as published is an incorrect term because they're not published until they're approved.
Right. That's why I just would use a distributor email. But Mike, your first question was interesting. So let's say we're back to that published, distributed, whatever. Okay, they're approved, right? So you approved them. They're on the board or whatever, their executive committee. Now you had your membership meeting.
Okay.
And Joe Blow, who's not on the executive committee, does he want to change those executive committee meetings?
No, it may be just semantics. This person said it rather than that person. Okay.
Okay.
But whoever makes that motion that they approve as published is, now that's on the floor. Anybody else can say, no, we need to change paragraph 3, or I didn't make that motion, John did. So they're not really approved. They're only approved as published. They're not approved as gospel.
Yeah, they're approved as distributed. But my question was, your first question was when you were saying at the general membership meeting, somebody wanted to change them that wasn't on the executive committee.
Right.
That's troubling. That's really just got me thrown.
We don't allow that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Okay, good.
Executive committee minutes are being reviewed or being.
Whatever, yeah. Okay.
Only
Gotcha.
a member of the executive committee can make changes or recommendations.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Next question. Deneen Parks Allison, did you get rebooted? No, she's rebooting, I think, for her question.
You got Gordon, it's on and ready to talk.
Okay, Gordon, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Yes. On the question about the executive committee minutes, I would take the position that we're not asking the general membership to approve the executive committee minutes.
No, you're just
at most they're accepting and receiving and filing.
Mm-hmm.
They might accept the report, but they're not even really approving the report of the executive committee. That's a whole separate action.
Right.
Reserved only to the executive committee. They can disagree.
Right.
And they can request the executive committee to reconsider or revise if there's corrections that are truly needed.
Right.
But I would never attempt to allow the general membership to approve or change the executive committee minutes for my post.
Well, what got me was them trying to change them. That got me. But really, technically speaking, though, the general membership can overrule the executive committee.
Right, but they can't change their minutes.
No, of course not, because they weren't there. Right. Yeah, that got me. But yes, you're correct.
Right, they could say we want things done differently. Certainly.
Oh yeah. So thank you, sir. Sure. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, Bruce. Did Doreen get back, or Doreen? I know she was rebooting.
I have a Deneen. Is it Deneen?
Yes, she was rebooting.
Is in the session. I don't know if she rebooted, but she's in the session.
Okay, Deneen, did you have a question you wanted to ask? You were rebooting?
Nothing.
No? Okay. Anybody else before we're going to resources. Next slide then. Okay, there's the publications. Obviously, you all know about Zoom. GoToMeeting also started. There are a couple of new ones that are out there too, and they have free virtual meetings. The one I was talking about for snail mail that will actually print. They'll print a postcard. They'll print an 8.5 by 11. They'll print a legal letter for you too. You never need to touch it. Is Click to Mail. It's a wonderful service. They do have nonprofit pricing. The other one gentleman talked about Constant Contact. I use them. I do a daily for our church. I send out a weekly video for our church, and I use them a lot for our church. And then there's MailChimp. MailChimp's another HTML email program. You can get a free account with them also, and they're a wonderful program too. So those are resources. I'll get a resource page to Bruce, and we can get that up on the website for you. Anybody that has any questions, judgeadvocate@floridalegion.org. Email me. You can look in the directory. I have my phone number there. You can call me if you want and beat me up. Not a problem. Next slide, Bruce. And that's the questions. If you have any more questions, I appreciate everybody taking their time. I know it's after work and you've given up your personal time, and that's much appreciated. Donna Chandler had a question, Bruce, about membership cards for new members.
I got it. I got an answer.
Oh, you got it? Take them from the bottom of the pack. Amy, thank you. I apologize for my guys and girls comments. I know we have wonderful female commanders and wonderful female adjutants, and I apologize. Any other questions before we let you all go?
Two hands coming up.
Yes, please.
And they're both in the room. James Brennan was first.
Yes, sir, Mr. Brennan.
Members who have moved on, gone away, or whatever, how long are we required to keep their membership records in the post? You know, and if we do get rid of them, I guess we have to shred them or keep them forever.
What membership records do you keep?
I keep tally on every membership, every person who pays their membership on an annual basis. So if I have to go back 2 years to prove that somebody paid their membership or didn't pay, I have those records handy. I keep a copy of the DD-214 and any correspondence dealing with that membership with the post, anything like this. I keep all that.
How do you keep that DD-214? Where do you keep it? How do you keep it?
I keep it locked up in a safe.
Okay.
And I'm the only one that has access to it. And like I said, how long do we keep those records once the person has moved on or has dropped out?
I'd get rid of them right away. If they've transferred and moved on, I'd get rid of them right away.
Okay. Should I notify the individual that his records have been destroyed? And
a lot of those, I personally, when they're moving on, especially if they're moving out of state or transferring to another post, I drop them a letter saying, hey, we got your DD-214. Would you like it, or would you like us to destroy it? Okay. That's what I do. You know, a lot of these people don't realize that they gave it to you, and maybe they want that copy. So I would just be nice and do that personally.
Well, that's why I was asking.
Yeah. You know, and a lot of posts don't keep DD-214s. Now, that was an issue about 5 or 6 years ago when the IRS came down on us about verifying membership eligibility. And I know a number of posts, not in Florida, but I know a number of posts that got audited by the IRS about eligibility. And the IRS code is very strict on, excuse me, percentage of Legion members and percentage of SAL members to qualify to remain a post. So if you have them and you have been doing it, that's fine. If you don't have them, it's a heck of a thing to start doing. So I think it's a good thing you got them, but I would definitely be nice and ask that person if they want it.
Okay, thank you very much. I
yes, sir.
Appreciate the session, and I hope I get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, sir. We'll put it up. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Bob.
Mr. Brennan. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Bruce, more questions?
Mark Rose.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mark. We sure can.
Great. Going back to the minutes, my commander, originally, certainly after I was appointed as adjutant, had, of course, wants a copy of the minutes as soon as possible so he can plan for the next meeting, which I wholeheartedly agree with, and I give it to him the following week. But then he was talking about wanting a copy of the minutes that we could put on the pin board so that people can, walk by and check it out. And I disagreed with that. And I'm just wondering what your position on that is.
If he really wants it, personally, what I would do is if it was me, I'd put draft across it.
Okay, even though, since it hasn't been approved yet.
That's why it's a draft. It could change. And I would try to explain that to your commander that, we don't know if this is going to be approved yet because it's a draft until it gets approved at the next meeting. So rather than let people read something that might be changed and cause all sorts of questions and disagreements, it's never a good thing to get into an adversarial situation where you're going to argue. And that's what you're doing, because if you put something out in a draft minutes and you might have heard it wrong, they might have misspoke, you might have misheard it, but that'll come clear in the next meeting when you try to approve them, and then you'll correct it. So it would be better, and for all concerned, if it got approved first, and then you put the approved version up there. And I think if you explain it correctly to the commander, he'll see the error of his ways and understand that it would be better to have a approved version posted rather than a draft version posted. But if he insists, then tell him you'll do it, but you'll have to stamp draft across the whole thing because it's not approved. And then people are going to question, why are you putting a draft thing out? Why don't you put the approved one out? And that's just going to cause more questions.
Yeah, my problem isn't so much with agreeing or disagreeing, because we get along great, everything's fine. Yeah. My problem is that if it's sitting on a pin board where non-members are coming in or guests of members come in and it's out there for them to look at, and it's really none of their business.
Right.
This is business of the Post.
Right. Do you have your finance report there too?
No.
Why not?
Well, I mean, we do have our financial report, and when I file it at the end of the meeting, I file it in our files, with the minutes. But no, it's the financial report is not put on the pin board either. Well,
for the same reason that you probably don't want your minutes there, right?
That's my point. Yes.
Yeah. So are you a big enough Post that you have a website?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Maybe what you do is you have a site on your website, which is not difficult to do, and that members only can sign in, because it's very easy to set up a secure spot on your website where members only can sign in and see your minutes and your financial reports.
Well, okay, that's a good idea. And the only thing, if anybody wanted a copy of the minutes, the approved minutes, I have no problem with giving them to them.
Yeah.
It's just I'm a little hinky about the idea of posting it on the board where non-members can view that.
That makes sense. And I think your commander will probably understand that for the same reason you don't put the financials up there, you don't want to put the minutes up there.
Exactly.
Because you're approving financial expenses sometimes. You're approving some other things that you really don't want non-members to see. I think he'd understand that.
Oh, he does. He actually does.
Yeah.
We discussed it a couple of times, and you have no problem there.
There you go.
And that was just my opinion, and he agreed with me.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Gordon, you're up, buddy.
Okay, a couple questions. One, about the 214s.
Yes.
I haven't looked at it recently, but isn't there some language about either at least seeing or keeping a copy of the 214 for officers?
Oh, you have to for officers. Yes. Yes.
But do you have to keep it